Maya Johnson adjusted her navy blue blazer as she walked through the pristine marble lobby of Sterling and Associates marketing firm. The morning sunlight streamed through floor-to-ceiling windows, casting long shadows across the polished floors. At 28, she had worked harder than most to earn her position as a junior marketing coordinator at one of the city's most prestigious firms. The elevator dinged softly as she reached the 15th floor. Maya had always been the first to arrive and the last to leave, determined to prove herself in an environment where she often felt like an outsider. Her colleagues were mostly from wealthy backgrounds, graduates of Ivy League schools with family connections that opened doors Maya had to break down herself. As she settled at her desk, organizing the presentation materials for the morning meeting, Maya couldn't help but notice the whispered conversations that seemed to stop whenever she approached. She had grown accustomed to the subtle exclusion, the way certain colleagues would speak over her during meetings, or how her ideas were often overlooked until someone else presented them. The morning team meeting was scheduled for 10 o'clock in the glass-walled conference room. Maya had spent weeks preparing for this presentation about a new campaign targeting urban demographics. She knew her research was thorough, her strategy innovative, but she also knew she would have to work twice as hard to get the same recognition as her peers. Jessica Crawford, the senior marketing director, strutted into the office wearing designer heels that clicked authoritatively against the marble floor. Jessica came from old money, her family owning several businesses across the city. She had made it clear from Maya's first day that she questioned whether Maya belonged in their exclusive work environment. "Maya," Jessica called out, her voice dripping with false sweetness. "I hope you're ready for today's presentation. Mr. Sterling will be attending, and we can't afford any mistakes." Maya nodded professionally, refusing to let Jessica's condescending tone affect her confidence. She had dealt with people like Jessica before, individuals who used their privilege as a weapon to intimidate others. Maya's strength came from a different place, from nights spent studying by candlelight when the electricity was cut off, from watching her single mother work 3 jobs to keep food on the table. The conference room filled with executives, all dressed in expensive suits and carrying themselves with the casual arrogance that came with inherited wealth. Maya took her place at the presentation podium, her materials organized perfectly, her voice steady despite the hostile stares from several colleagues. As she began her presentation, Maya noticed Jessica whispering to 2 other senior staff members, their eyes occasionally glancing toward her with barely concealed disdain. The campaign Maya had developed was brilliant. She had identified untapped markets and created strategies that could potentially bring in millions of dollars for the company. Halfway through her presentation, Maya paused to take a sip from her water bottle. The room was silent, waiting for her to continue. She could see Mr. Sterling nodding approvingly at her charts and market analysis. For a moment, Maya felt a surge of confidence. Perhaps today would be different. Perhaps her hard work would finally be recognized. Jessica suddenly stood up, interrupting the presentation. "I'm sorry, Maya, but I have some concerns about your research methodology. Are you certain these demographics would actually respond to our brand? I mean, do you really understand this market segment?" The question hung in the air like a challenge. Maya recognized the subtle racism in Jessica's words, the implication that she couldn't possibly understand professional marketing because of her background. Other colleagues began murmuring among themselves, some nodding in agreement with Jessica's challenge. "My research is based on comprehensive data analysis and consumer behavior studies," Maya replied calmly, though her heart was racing. "I've spent months analyzing purchasing patterns, social media engagement, and brand loyalty metrics. The data clearly supports the viability of this campaign." Jessica's expression hardened. She had always resented Maya's presence in the company, viewing her as an outsider who didn't deserve to be there. In Jessica's mind, positions at Sterling and Associates should be reserved for people from their social circle, not for someone who had worked their way up from nothing. "Well, I suppose we'll have to take your word for it," Jessica said with a dismissive wave of her hand. "Though I do wonder if someone with your background can truly understand the sophisticated preferences of our target demographic." The room fell silent. Even Mr. Sterling looked uncomfortable with Jessica's barely veiled insult. Maya felt every eye in the room focused on her, waiting to see how she would respond. This wasn't the first time Jessica had made such comments, but it was the most blatant attack yet. Maya straightened her shoulders and looked directly at Jessica. My background includes a master's degree in marketing from State University, 3 years of experience in consumer research, and a proven track record of successful campaigns. I believe that qualifies me to understand any demographic we choose to target. The tension in the room was palpable. Several colleagues shifted uncomfortably in their seats, while others seemed to be enjoying the confrontation. Jessica's face flushed with anger at being challenged so directly. She wasn't accustomed to having her authority questioned, especially not by someone she considered beneath her. As Maya continued her presentation, she could feel Jessica's hostility growing stronger. Every slide, every data point seemed to fuel Jessica's resentment. Maya had anticipated this reaction. She knew that her success would be seen as a threat by some colleagues who believed their positions were guaranteed by birthright rather than merit. The presentation concluded to polite applause from most of the room. Mr. Sterling approached Maya afterward, complimenting her thorough research and innovative approach. However, Maya couldn't shake the feeling that Jessica's interruption had planted seeds of doubt in some minds. As colleagues filed out of the conference room, Maya began collecting her materials. She had performed well despite the hostile environment, but she knew the real challenge was just beginning. Jessica's public challenge meant that Maya would now have to work even harder to prove herself worthy of respect. The morning had revealed the true nature of her workplace dynamics. Maya realized she wasn't just fighting for professional recognition, she was fighting against years of systemic prejudice and entitlement that people like Jessica represented. The battle lines had been drawn, and Maya knew she would need every ounce of her strength and intelligence to survive what was coming next. The following weeks at Sterling & Associates became increasingly difficult for Maya. Jessica had begun a subtle campaign to undermine her credibility, questioning her work in front of clients and excluding her from important meetings. Maya found herself working longer hours, double-checking every detail of her projects to ensure Jessica couldn't find any flaws to exploit. During lunch breaks, Maya often ate alone at her desk while her colleagues gathered in exclusive groups, discussing weekend plans at country clubs and expensive restaurants she could never afford. She had grown used to the isolation, but it still stung when conversations would stop abruptly as she approached, or when invitations to after-work gatherings were extended to everyone except her. One particularly challenging afternoon, Maya was working on a client proposal when she overheard Jessica speaking loudly on the phone in the adjacent office. "I don't know why Mr. Sterling insists on keeping her around," Jessica was saying, clearly intending for Maya to hear. "She's completely out of her league here. This isn't exactly the kind of environment where just anyone can succeed." Maya's hands tightened around her pen, but she continued working. She had learned early in life that responding to such provocations only gave people like Jessica more ammunition to use against her. Instead, she channeled her frustration into her work, producing campaigns that consistently exceeded expectations. The company's annual client appreciation event was approaching, a lavish affair held at the city's most exclusive hotel. Maya had been assigned to coordinate several aspects of the event, including managing vendor relationships and overseeing the presentation materials. It was a high-visibility project that could significantly impact her career trajectory. Jessica made it clear that she expected Maya to fail. During planning meetings, she would make snide comments about Maya's limited experience with high-end events, and questioned whether she could handle interactions with their sophisticated clientele. Each comment was designed to chip away at Maya's confidence and plant doubt in the minds of other colleagues. Despite the hostile work environment, Maya threw herself into planning the event with meticulous attention to detail. She negotiated better rates with vendors, designed innovative presentation displays, and created a comprehensive timeline that ensured everything would run smoothly. Her work was flawless, which only seemed to increase Jessica's resentment. The day of the event arrived with perfect weather and flawless execution. Maya arrived early to oversee final preparations, wearing an elegant black dress she had saved for months to purchase. She wanted to look professional and confident, knowing that many important clients and potential business partners would be attending. As guests began arriving, Maya moved efficiently between different areas of the venue, ensuring everything was proceeding according to plan. The presentations were going well. Clients were impressed with the company's proposals, and several new business opportunities were being discussed. Jessica appeared at Maya's side during a brief quiet moment, carrying a large cup of cola. Her expression was cold, and Maya could tell she had been drinking alcohol despite the early hour. "Well, Maya, I suppose even you can handle basic event coordination," Jessica said with a fake smile. "Thank you," Maya replied diplomatically, though she recognized the backhanded nature of the compliment. She was used to Jessica's passive-aggressive comments and had learned not to take the bait. "Of course, anyone can arrange tables and flowers," Jessica continued, her voice getting louder. "It's not exactly rocket science. I just hope you can handle yourself appropriately around our distinguished guests. Some of them might not be used to your type." Maya felt her jaw tighten at the obvious racial undertone in Jessica's words. Several nearby colleagues had stopped their conversations and were now listening to the exchange. Maya could see the anticipation in their faces, waiting to see how she would respond to such a blatant provocation. "I'm confident that I can interact professionally with anyone," Maya said firmly, maintaining her composure despite the growing anger in her chest. She had dealt with people like Jessica before, individuals who used their privilege to belittle others, but this was the most public confrontation yet. Jessica's face flushed with alcohol and anger. She had been waiting for this moment, an opportunity to publicly humiliate Maya in front of important clients and colleagues. In her mind, Maya represented everything that was wrong with the company's recent hiring practices. She believed positions should be reserved for people from their social class, not for outsiders who had worked their way up. "Professional?" Jessica laughed loudly, attracting even more attention from nearby guests. "That's rich. You think you belong here? You think you're one of us?" This is a world of sophistication and class, something you'll never understand regardless of how hard you try to pretend. The surrounding conversations had completely stopped now. Clients, colleagues, and vendors were all staring at the unfolding confrontation. Maya could feel dozens of eyes watching her, waiting to see how she would handle this public attack on her character and background. "Jessica, I think you've had too much to drink," Maya said quietly, trying to de-escalate the situation. She was acutely aware that any emotional response from her would be seen as unprofessional, while Jessica's behavior would likely be excused as passion or temporary indiscretion. "Don't you dare condescend to me," Jessica snarled, stepping closer to Maya. "I've worked my entire life to build my position here. I come from a family with real connections, real influence. You're nothing but a charity case who doesn't know her place." The words hit Maya like physical blows, but she maintained her professional demeanor. She had faced similar attacks before, though never in such a public setting. Maya understood that Jessica's anger wasn't really about her work, performance. It was about fear that someone from Maya's background could succeed in their exclusive world. "I'm here because I earned my position through hard work and merit," Maya replied calmly, though her heart was pounding. "I've consistently delivered excellent results for our clients, and I believe my work speaks for itself." Jessica's expression twisted with rage. The idea that Maya would defend herself, that she would dare to claim equality in their workplace, was more than Jessica could tolerate. In that moment, fueled by alcohol and years of entitlement, Jessica made a decision that would change everything. "Your work?" Jessica screamed, raising the cup of cola above her head. "You think your work matters here? Let me show you what I think of you and your place in this company." Time seemed to slow as Maya watched Jessica's arm move toward her, the dark liquid arcing through the air. The cola splashed across Maya's face and dress, the cold liquid shocking her system as gasps echoed throughout the venue. The sticky sweetness ran down her cheeks and stained her carefully chosen outfit. Maya stood frozen for a moment, cola dripping from her hair and face, as the entire room fell into stunned silence. The silence that followed Jessica's attack was deafening. Maya stood motionless, cola dripping from her hair onto the marble floor of the hotel ballroom. The sweet, sticky liquid had splattered across her black dress, leaving dark stains that would never come out. Around her, dozens of clients, colleagues, and vendors stared in shock at what had just transpired. Maya's first instinct was to run. Every fiber of her being wanted to flee from this humiliating scene, to escape the staring eyes and whispered comments that were already beginning to circulate through the crowd. The cola burned her eyes slightly, and she could taste the artificial sweetness on her lips. But something deeper than embarrassment kept her rooted to the spot. This wasn't just about a ruined dress or public humiliation. This was about every person who had ever been told they didn't belong, every individual who had been judged by their background rather than their character. Maya realized that how she responded in this moment would define not just her own future, but would send a message to everyone watching about what behavior was acceptable in their workplace. Jessica stood 3 feet away, the empty cup still in her hand, her face flushed with a mixture of alcohol and adrenaline. She seemed momentarily stunned by her own actions, as if she couldn't quite believe she had actually thrown the drink. But as she looked around at the shocked faces surrounding them, a twisted smile began to form on her lips. "That's what happens when people forget their place," Jessica announced loudly, her voice carrying across the suddenly quiet ballroom. "Some individuals simply don't belong in professional environments like this." The comment sparked a murmur of conversation among the onlookers. Maya could see some guests pulling out their phones, undoubtedly recording the aftermath of the incident. She knew that within hours, videos and photos would be circulating on social media, potentially destroying her professional reputation before she had a chance to explain what had happened. Maya slowly reached into her purse and pulled out a tissue, wiping the cola from her face with deliberate, careful movements. Her hands were remarkably steady, despite the humiliation and anger coursing through her body. She refused to let Jessica see her breakdown, refused to give her the satisfaction of witnessing Maya's complete destruction. "Excuse me," Maya said quietly to the gathered crowd, her voice carrying despite its soft tone. "I need to clean up." As she turned toward the restroom, Maya could hear Jessica continuing to make comments about her background and qualifications. Each word felt like another blow, but Maya forced herself to walk slowly and professionally, maintaining her dignity despite everything that had just happened. In the restroom, Maya stared at her reflection in the ornate mirror. Her carefully styled hair was matted with cola, her makeup was smudged, and her dress was ruined. But her eyes held a steel determination that surprised even her. This attack wasn't just about workplace harassment. It was about something much deeper and more systemic. Maya pulled out her phone and called her husband, Marcus. They had been married for 2 years, though most of her colleagues had never met him. Maya preferred to keep her personal life private, especially given the hostile work environment. Marcus worked in technology and often traveled for business, which meant he rarely attended company events. "Maya," Marcus answered immediately, concern evident in his voice. "Aren't you supposed to be at that work event?" "Something happened," Maya said, her voice finally cracking slightly. "Jessica," she threw a drink at me. "In front of everyone. Clients, colleagues, everyone saw it." Marcus was silent for a moment, and Maya could hear him taking a deep breath. "Are you hurt? Are you safe?" "I'm not hurt, just humiliated," Maya admitted. "Marcus, I don't know if I can go back out there. Everyone was staring, and Jessica was saying terrible things about how I don't belong here. Maybe she's right. Maybe I've been fooling myself thinking I could succeed in this environment." "Listen to me carefully," Marcus said, his voice gentle but firm. "You are brilliant, talented, and you've earned every opportunity you've received. Don't let one person's ignorance and prejudice make you doubt your worth. You belong anywhere you choose to be." Maya felt tears beginning to form in her eyes, but she blinked them back. "It's not just Jessica, though. This whole company culture is toxic. I've been fighting uphill battles every single day, and I'm exhausted." "I know, sweetheart, and I'm sorry you've had to deal with this alone," Marcus replied. "But running away won't solve anything. It will just validate their belief that you don't belong. You have to decide whether you're going to let them win, or whether you're going to show them exactly who they're dealing with." Maya looked at herself in the mirror again, seeing past the ruined makeup and stained dress to the strength that had carried her through years of adversity. Marcus was right. She had fought too hard to get where she was to let Jessica's ignorance drive her away. "You're right," Maya said, straightening her shoulders. "I'm not going to run, but I don't know how to face everyone after what just happened." "You walk back out there with your head held high," Marcus told her. "You've done nothing wrong. Jessica is the one who should be embarrassed by her behavior, not you." After hanging up, Maya spent several minutes cleaning herself up as best she could. She couldn't fix the stained dress, but she could restore her makeup and pull her hair back into a professional style. When she looked in the mirror again, she saw a woman who had been attacked but not defeated. Maya walked back into the ballroom with measured steps, her chin raised and her expression calm. The conversations that had been buzzing throughout the room gradually died down as people noticed her return. She could feel dozens of eyes tracking her movement, waiting to see what she would do next. Jessica was standing near the bar, surrounded by several colleagues who seemed to be congratulating her on her performance. When she saw Maya return, her expression shifted from smug satisfaction to something approaching surprise. She clearly hadn't expected Maya to come back so quickly, if at all. Maya walked directly to where Mr. Sterling was standing with a group of important clients. She knew that her next actions would determine not just her immediate future, but the trajectory of her entire career. "Mr. Sterling," Maya said professionally, "I wanted to inform you that there was an incident involving inappropriate workplace behavior. I believe it needs to be addressed immediately." Mr. Sterling looked uncomfortable, clearly aware of what had transpired but uncertain how to handle such an unprecedented situation at a client event. "Maya, perhaps we should discuss this privately at a later time." "With respect, sir, this incident occurred in front of our most important clients," Maya replied calmly. "It reflects on the company's professional standards and workplace culture. I believe it needs to be addressed now." Around them, clients and colleagues were listening to every word. Maya knew she was taking an enormous risk by forcing the issue in such a public setting. But she also understood that private discussions would likely result in the incident being swept under the rug and forgotten. The tension in the ballroom was suffocating as Maya faced Mr. Sterling and the gathered clients. She could feel Jessica's glare burning into her back, along with the curious stares of everyone else in the vicinity. Maya knew she was walking a dangerous line. Pushing too hard could result in her termination, but remaining silent would signal that such behavior was acceptable. Mr. Sterling glanced nervously around the room, clearly uncomfortable with the public nature of the confrontation. Several high-profile clients were watching the exchange with keen interest, and Maya could see him calculating the potential damage to the company's reputation if the situation wasn't handled properly. "Perhaps Ms. Crawford could join us for this discussion," Maya suggested calmly, though her heart was racing. She knew that forcing Jessica to face the consequences of her actions in front of the same people who had witnessed the attack was crucial. Jessica approached reluctantly, her earlier bravado beginning to fade as she realized the serious implications of her behavior. The alcohol was still evident in her slightly unsteady walk and flushed complexion, but the gravity of the situation was beginning to cut through her intoxication. "Jessica," Mr. Sterling said quietly, "several people have mentioned that there was some kind of incident. Could you explain what happened?" Jessica's eyes darted around the group of watching faces before settling on Maya with undisguised hostility. "It was just a small misunderstanding," she said dismissively. "Maya was being unprofessional and I may have overreacted slightly." The understatement was so egregious that several onlookers exchanged incredulous glances. Maya felt a surge of anger at Jessica's attempt to minimize what had been a deliberate act of public humiliation, but she maintained her professional composure. "Jessica threw a full cup of cola at me while making derogatory comments about my background and qualifications," Maya stated clearly, her voice carrying across the nearby area. This occurred in front of numerous clients and colleagues during a company-sponsored professional event. The directness of Maya's statement created a ripple of shocked murmurs throughout the surrounding crowd. There was no ambiguity in her words, no room for misinterpretation or spin. She had laid out exactly what had happened, forcing everyone present to confront the reality of what they had witnessed. Mr. Sterling's face paled as he realized the full implications of the situation. A racial incident at a client event, witnessed by dozens of important business partners, could potentially destroy relationships the company had spent years building. The legal and public relations ramifications were staggering. "That's completely untrue," Jessica protested, but her voice lacked conviction. "I would never do such a thing." Maya is obviously exaggerating what was a minor disagreement. Before Mr. Sterling could respond, a distinguished older gentleman stepped forward from the group of clients. Maya recognized him as Robert Chen, CEO of one of the city's largest investment firms and one of Sterling and Associates' most important clients. "I'm afraid I witnessed the entire incident," Mr. Chen said in a clear, authoritative voice. "Ms. Crawford's behavior was absolutely unacceptable. I've never seen such unprofessional conduct at a business event." His words carried significant weight, and Maya could see the immediate impact on Mr. Sterling's demeanor. Losing a client like Robert Chen would be catastrophic for the company, and his public condemnation of Jessica's behavior made any attempt to cover up the incident impossible. Other witnesses began to speak up, confirming what Maya had stated. The evidence was overwhelming, and Jessica's face grew increasingly pale as she realized her attempts at denial were futile. The alcohol-fueled confidence that had driven her attack was rapidly evaporating. "This is clearly a serious matter that requires immediate attention," Mr. Sterling said, his voice tight with barely controlled anger. "Jessica, I think it would be best if you left the event immediately. We'll be conducting a full investigation starting first thing Monday morning." Jessica's mouth opened in shock. She had never faced real consequences for her behavior before, having always been protected by her family's social connections and financial influence. The idea that she might actually face professional repercussions for her actions seemed to catch her completely off guard. "You can't be serious," Jessica stammered. "My family has been connected to this company for years. I've brought in millions of dollars in business. You're going to choose her over me? Someone who doesn't even belong here." The final comment sealed Jessica's fate. By doubling down on the discriminatory language that had led to the incident in the first place, she eliminated any possibility of claiming the attack had been an isolated mistake. Mr. Sterling's expression hardened, and several clients shook their heads in disgust. "Security will escort you out," Mr. Sterling said firmly. "Your building access will be suspended pending the investigation." As security approached, Jessica turned to Maya with a look of pure venom. "This isn't over," she hissed quietly. "You think you've won something here, but you have no idea what you're dealing with. My family has connections you can't imagine. We'll destroy you." Maya met Jessica's threatening stare without flinching. She had faced intimidation before, and Jessica's desperate attempt to salvage power through threats only highlighted how completely she had lost control of the situation. "I'm not afraid of you or your family," Maya replied quietly. "What happened here today wasn't about personal vendettas. It was about basic human dignity and professional respect." As Jessica was escorted from the building, the remaining guests began to disperse, though many stopped to speak with Maya privately. Several clients expressed their admiration for how she had handled the situation, and some even mentioned potential business opportunities they would like to discuss with her directly. Mr. Sterling approached Maya as the crowd thinned. "I want to personally apologize for what happened here today," he said, genuine remorse evident in his voice. "Jessica's behavior was completely unacceptable, and I assure you there will be serious consequences." Maya nodded appreciatively, though she remained cautious. She had seen how quickly corporate sympathy could disappear when it became inconvenient or expensive. "I appreciate that. Mr. Sterling, I hope this incident can serve as a learning opportunity for the entire company about maintaining professional standards and treating all employees with respect." "Absolutely," Mr. Sterling agreed. "In fact, I'd like to schedule a meeting with you next week to discuss your role in the company moving forward. Your handling of this situation has shown remarkable professionalism and leadership." As Maya finally left the event several hours later, she felt a complex mixture of emotions. The day had been traumatic and humiliating, but it had also revealed important truths about her workplace and her own strength. Jessica's attack had been intended to destroy Maya's career and drive her from the company, but instead it had exposed the toxic culture that had been allowed to fester unchallenged. Maya's phone buzzed with a text message from Marcus. "How did it go? Are you okay?" She smiled slightly as she typed back, "It was rough, but I'm okay. I'll tell you everything when I get home. And Marcus, I think some big changes are coming." As Maya walked to her car, she reflected on the day's events. Jessica's attack had been vicious and humiliating, but it had also been a catalyst that forced important conversations about workplace culture and professional respect. Maya had chosen not to be a victim, and that choice had changed everything. The weekend following the incident passed slowly for Maya. She had recounted the events to Marcus in detail, and he had listened with a mixture of pride and anger. Pride at how she had handled herself, anger at the treatment she had endured. They spent hours discussing the implications and potential consequences of what had happened. Monday morning arrived with an unexpected phone call from Mr. Sterling's assistant, requesting Maya's presence at an 8 a.m. meeting. Maya dressed carefully in her best professional attire, knowing that this conversation would likely determine her future with the company. Despite her strong performance during the incident, She understood that companies often found ways to quietly remove employees who created complications. The elevator ride to the executive floor felt longer than usual. Maya had only been to this level of the building a few times, usually for company-wide announcements or annual reviews. The hallway was lined with expensive artwork and mahogany paneling that spoke to the company's financial success and traditional values. Mr. Sterling's office was impressive, with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city skyline. He was seated behind an enormous desk when Maya entered, accompanied by the head of human resources and the company's legal counsel. The formal setup made Maya's stomach tighten with apprehension. "Please sit down, Maya," Mr. Sterling said, gesturing to a chair across from his desk. "I want to start by again apologizing for what happened on Friday. Such behavior is completely unacceptable and does not reflect our company values." Maya nodded politely, while internally noting that Jessica's behavior had been tolerated for years before reaching this explosive climax. The company's values seemed to be more aspirational than actual, at least when it came to protecting employees from harassment and discrimination. "We've completed our preliminary investigation," the HR director continued, "and we've determined that Ms. Crawford's employment with Sterling & Associates will be terminated immediately. Her actions violated multiple company policies regarding workplace conduct and created significant legal liability for the firm." Maya felt a mixture of relief and skepticism. While Jessica's termination was appropriate, she wondered if this was simply damage control rather than genuine accountability. Companies often sacrificed individual employees while avoiding systemic changes that might prevent future incidents. "Additionally," Mr. Sterling continued, "we want to discuss your future with the company. Your professionalism during that difficult situation was exemplary, and several clients specifically mentioned their admiration for how you handled yourself." The legal counsel leaned forward slightly. "We're prepared to offer you a promotion to Senior Marketing Director, along with a significant salary increase and enhanced benefits package. We believe this demonstrates our commitment to recognizing talent and maintaining high professional standards." Maya was momentarily stunned. The promotion represented a massive leap in responsibility and compensation, far beyond what she had expected even in her most optimistic scenarios. However, she also recognized it as a strategic move designed to prevent potential legal action and maintain positive relationships with clients who had witnessed the incident. "I appreciate the offer," Maya said carefully, "but I'm curious about what changes the company plans to implement to address the underlying culture issues that allowed this situation to develop." The three executives exchanged glances, clearly not having expected Maya to focus on systemic changes rather than personal advancement. This question revealed her understanding that Jessica's behavior wasn't an isolated incident, but rather a symptom of broader organizational problems. "We're planning to implement enhanced diversity and inclusion training for all employees," the HR director responded. "We'll also be reviewing our hiring and promotion practices to ensure they align with our commitment to equal opportunity." Maya nodded, though she wondered how effective such standard corporate responses would be. Training programs and policy reviews were often implemented as protective measures for companies rather than meaningful change initiatives for employees. "I'd like to take some time to consider the offer," Maya said diplomatically. "This has been a challenging situation, and I want to make sure any decision I make is in everyone's best interests." Mr. Sterling looked surprised. Most employees would have immediately accepted such a generous offer, especially after experiencing workplace harassment. Maya's measured response suggested she was thinking strategically rather than emotionally about her future. "Of course," Mr. Sterling replied. "Take all the time you need. Your desk and responsibilities will remain unchanged until you make your decision." As Maya left the executive floor, her phone buzzed with a text from Marcus. "How did the meeting go?" She texted back. "They offered me a big promotion. I'll explain everything tonight." Maya spent the rest of the day working normally, though she noticed subtle changes in how colleagues interacted with her. Some seemed more respectful, perhaps recognizing that she now had the support of senior management. Others appeared uncomfortable, possibly worried about their own behavior being scrutinized. That evening, Maya and Marcus discussed the promotion offer over dinner. Marcus was supportive but encouraged her to consider all her options rather than feeling pressured to accept the company's offer simply because it was generous. You've proven that you can succeed anywhere, Marcus told her. Don't let them use this promotion as a way to keep you quiet about the problems in that company. Maya appreciated his perspective, but she was torn between the security of a known situation and the uncertainty of starting over elsewhere. The promotion would provide financial stability and professional advancement, but it would also mean continuing to work within a system that had allowed Jessica's behavior to persist for years. The next morning brought an unexpected development. Maya's phone rang during her commute, displaying a number she didn't recognize. Ms. Johnson, this is David Kim from Chen Investment Group. I was present during the incident on Friday evening. Maya remembered Mr. Chen, the client who had spoken up to confirm her account of Jessica's attack. Yes, Mr. Kim, how can I help you? Mr. Chen was very impressed with your professionalism and would like to meet with you about a potential opportunity. We're expanding our marketing division and looking for someone with your skills and character. The call was completely unexpected. Maya had been so focused on navigating the situation within Sterling and Associates that she hadn't considered external opportunities that might have emerged from the incident. I appreciate Mr. Chen's interest, Maya replied. I'd be happy to learn more about what you have in mind. They scheduled a meeting for later that week, and Maya hung up feeling energized by the possibility of new opportunities. The incident that Jessica had intended to destroy her career might actually open doors she had never imagined possible. As Maya arrived at the Sterling and Associates building, she felt a sense of clarity about her situation. She had choices to make, but for the first time in months, they were good choices. Whether she stayed with Sterling and Associates or pursued opportunities elsewhere, she would be doing so from a position of strength rather than desperation. The security guard at the front desk smiled warmly as she passed. Good morning, Ms. Johnson. Heard you handled yourself real well at that event Friday night. Maya smiled back, realizing that news of the incident had spread throughout the building. Rather than being seen as a victim or troublemaker, she was being recognized as someone who had stood up for herself with grace and professionalism. As the elevator carried her to the 15th floor, Maya reflected on how much had changed in just a few days. Jessica's attack had been intended to humiliate and diminish her, but instead it had revealed Maya's strength and opened new possibilities for her future. Wednesday afternoon brought another surprise to Maya's already eventful week. As she was preparing to leave the office for her meeting with Chen Investment Group, her phone rang with an unknown international number. Maya hesitated before answering, wondering who could be calling her from overseas. Maya Johnson speaking, she answered professionally. Ms. Johnson, my name is Alexander Petrov. I'm calling from our London office. I was at the Sterling Associates event on Friday evening, and I witnessed what happened to you. Maya tried to place the name and accent, remembering a tall man with graying hair who had been standing near the presentation area. Yes, Mr. Petrov, how can I help you? Actually, I'm hoping I can help you, Alexander continued. I represent a consortium of international investors, and we were very impressed with how you handled that difficult situation. We've been looking for someone to head our North American marketing operations, and your grace under pressure was exactly the kind of leadership we value. Maya felt her heart racing. 2 job offers in 1 week was beyond anything she had imagined possible. The incident that was supposed to end her career was instead opening doors to opportunities she had never dreamed of pursuing. I'm flattered by your interest, Maya replied carefully. Could you tell me more about the position? Alexander explained that the role would involve overseeing marketing strategies for a portfolio of technology companies across North America, with significant travel and international collaboration. The compensation package he described was substantially higher than even Sterling Associates' promotion offer. We'd like to fly you to our New York office next week to meet with our executive team, Alexander concluded. Would you be available for interviews on Monday and Tuesday? Maya agreed to the meetings, though she felt overwhelmed by the rapid succession of opportunities. As she hung up the phone, she realized that her entire professional trajectory had shifted dramatically in just a few days. The meeting with Chen Investment Group went exceptionally well. Mr. Chen personally conducted the interview, expressing his admiration for Maya's character and professional capabilities. He offered her a position as Director of Strategic Marketing, with responsibilities that would challenge her skills while providing significant growth opportunities. I believe talent and integrity are the most valuable assets in any organization, Mr. Chen told her. What I witnessed on Friday convinced me that you possess both in abundance. Maya left the Chen offices feeling energized and optimistic about her future. For the first time in months, she felt valued and respected professionally. The contrast with her experience at Sterling Associates was stark and revealing. That evening, Maya and Marcus discussed the multiple opportunities now available to her. Marcus listened carefully as she described each option, asking thoughtful questions about her preferences and long-term goals. You know what I find most interesting? Marcus said finally. None of these people are offering you jobs because they feel sorry for you. They're offering you positions because they recognize your talent and character. Friday night didn't damage your reputation. It revealed who you really are. Maya smiled, feeling grateful for Marcus's perspective. He had always supported her ambitions while helping her maintain perspective on what truly mattered. There's something I should probably mention, Marcus said with a slight smile. Since we're talking about career opportunities and changes, Maya looked at him curiously. What do you mean? Marcus reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out his phone, opening what appeared to be a financial app. I've been working on a project for the past few years, and it's finally reached a point where I can talk about it publicly. Maya watched as Marcus showed her a portfolio screen displaying numbers that seemed impossibly large. Marcus, what am I looking at? Remember that tech startup I invested in 3 years ago? The one working on artificial intelligence platforms? Marcus's smile grew wider. It was acquired last month by one of the major tech companies. My share of the sale was significant. Maya stared at the screen, trying to process what she was seeing. The number displayed represented more money than she had ever imagined having access to. Marcus, are you telling me you're a millionaire? Actually, Marcus said quietly, the correct term would be billionaire. Maya felt the room spinning slightly as the full implications of Marcus's revelation sank in. Her husband, who drove a modest car and lived in their comfortable but unremarkable home, was one of the wealthiest people in the country. Why didn't you tell me before? Maya asked, though she wasn't angry, just stunned. Because I wanted you to build your career on your own merit, Marcus explained. You're incredibly talented and deserve to succeed without anyone questioning whether your achievements were legitimate. I also wanted to make sure our relationship was based on who we are as people, not what I might be able to provide financially. Maya understood his reasoning, though she felt overwhelmed by the magnitude of the revelation. So when Jessica was making all those comments about my background and whether I belonged in that world, she had no idea she was talking to someone whose husband could probably buy and sell her family's entire business empire. Marcus finished with a slight laugh. The irony wasn't lost on me. Maya began laughing as well, thinking about Jessica's obsession with social class and financial status. She threw a drink at a billionaire's wife while lecturing her about not belonging in sophisticated society. But more importantly, Marcus said, becoming serious again, she attacked an incredibly talented woman who has earned every opportunity through hard work and merit. Your worth isn't determined by my financial success. It comes from your own achievements and character. Maya felt tears forming in her eyes, but they were tears of joy and relief rather than sadness. The past week had been emotionally exhausting, but it had also revealed important truths about her capabilities and value. So what happens now? Maya asked. With your business success, we could do anything we want. Marcus took her hands in his. What happens now is whatever you decide you want to do. You have multiple amazing job offers because people recognize your talent. You can choose based on what excites you professionally, not on what we need financially. Maya spent the next few days carefully considering her options. The promotion at Sterling Associates would provide career advancement within a familiar environment, but it would also mean staying within a culture that had allowed harassment to persist. The positions with Chen Investment Group and the International Consortium both offered exciting new challenges and the opportunity to work with organizations that clearly valued character and professionalism. On Friday morning, Maya made her decisions. She called Mr. Sterling first, declining the promotion offer but thanking him for his support during the difficult situation. I appreciate everything the company has done to address what happened, Maya told him. However, I've decided to pursue opportunities that align more closely with my professional goals and values. Mr. Sterling seemed disappointed but understanding. I wish you the best, Maya. You're a tremendous asset to any organization. Maya then called Mr. Chen to accept his offer, excited about the opportunity to work with an organization that had immediately recognized and valued her capabilities. As Maya cleaned out her desk at Sterling Associates, several colleagues stopped by to wish her well. The incident with Jessica had sparked conversations throughout the company about workplace culture and professional respect, and many people expressed appreciation for how Maya had handled the situation. Walking out of the Sterling Associates building for the last time, Maya felt a sense of closure and anticipation. Jessica's attack, intended to destroy her career and drive her away, had instead revealed Maya's strength and opened doors to opportunities she had never imagined. The woman who had been humiliated with a cup of thrown soda was walking away stronger, more confident, and with a brilliant future ahead of her. Sometimes the worst moments in life became catalysts for the best chapters that followed.